Hello everybody and welcome to the Constable. Please subscribe now to get the latest news on archaeology, ancient history, civilizations and world mythology. Without further ado, let's get started. For more than 4,000 years, the pyramids of Giza continue to amaze while holding on to their many secrets. Amelia Blanford Edward was one of a stream of European travelers drawn to see the wonders of Egypt at the close of the 19th century. In her 1877 book, A Thousand Miles Up the Nile, she writes of the hot drive to the edge of the desert until the Great Pyramids in all its unexpected bulk and majesty towers close above one's head. The pyramids at Giza are so iconic, so astonishingly ancient, that it is hard to imagine that 4,600 years ago, the plateau where they stand was a desolate, dune-covered wilderness where a scattering of tombs lay under the burning Egyptian sun. Along with the enigmatic Sphinx and other smaller tombs and monuments, Giza has three principal pyramids: Khufu, originally 484 feet high and sometimes called Cheops, or the Great Pyramid; Khafre, 471 feet, and Menkaure, 213 feet. Emerging out of the complex dynastic needs of Egypt's fourth dynasty, they are the triumphant product of the most daring and innovative engineering project the world has ever known. The kings of the fourth dynasty ruled Egypt from around 2575 to 2465 BC. Presiding over the golden age of the Old Kingdom, their center of power was sophisticated Nile-side city of Memphis, about 15 miles south of Giza. The dynasty's second king, Khufu, ruled during the period of relative peace in Egypt, although the Greek historian Herodotus later depicted him and his son as cruel and proud. The pharaoh's relatives, such as Nefertibet, Khufu's daughter, depicted on this relief found in her tomb in Giza, were buried beside the sovereign's pyramid. Khufu's architect and engineer embarked on a project that transcended any other structure in the Bronze Age. Its completion utterly transformed the plateau. Khufu had selected it in part to distance himself from the magnificent pyramid built by his father, Snefru, in Dashur, another necropolis near Memphis. Several other factors also made it an ideal site. The high plateau allowed greater visibility for the pyramids. It was also near Heliopolis, basis of the cult of the sun god, Re. Since there were already some tombs in Giza, the land had already been sanctified and so was fit for a pharaoh's tomb of a statue never seen before or surpassed since. After Khufu's death, his son Rejdef ruled for a short time and began work on a tomb in Abu Rawesh that was never finished. The next pharaoh, his brother Khafre, built a pyramid as well as a great sphinx, some scholars claim, in Giza. The next generation followed the same pattern. Baufri, son of Rajdef, built his tomb outside of Giza, while Menkaure, Khafre's son, built his in Giza. Each pharaoh who built in Giza did so in accordance with some simple rules that harmoniously ordered the three funerary complexes on the plateau. The facade of Khafre's high temple is aligned with the western face of Khufu's pyramid, and the facade of Menkaure's high temple is aligned with the western face of Khafre's pyramid. At the same time, the imaginary line that roughly joins the southeast corners of the three pyramids points towards the temple of Re in Heliopolis. Then, who actually built the pyramids? Herodotus claimed that construction of the Great Pyramid, today calculated at over 6 million tons of stones, was carried out using slave labor. It is now known this building was undertaken in fact by paid Egyptian laborers. The notion that Egyptian monuments were built by slaves, such as the plight of the Hebrew slaves recounted in the biblical book of Exodus, seems to have had currency in the ancient world. Such colossal building project would have left some kind of archaeological trace. And so it was amid huge excitement that in 19 archaeologists started to uncover the village housing of the workmen who built the two later pyramids of Khafre and Menkaure. This followed the discovery of the workers' cemetery in 1990, which was divided into upper and lower parts according to the rank of the deceased. Both village and cemetery offer archaeologists a mine of valuable data about the condition in which the two smaller pyramids of Giza were built. Data that in turn gives a working hypothesis as to the construction of the pyramids of Khufu. A study of the workers' bones shows that the work was backbreaking, yet these laborers, far from being slaves, were privileged civil servants and beneficiaries of a number of enviable perks. Analysis shows that they enjoy a protein-rich diet, practically unheard of among the rest of the Nile Valley inhabitants. The evidence that broken limbs and fractures had been set correctly strongly suggests adequate medical care was provided. One of the skeletons in the cemetery had a leg amputated so precisely that experts estimate that the patient lived for some 20 years after the operation. The discovery of the workers' village has also enabled archaeologists to debunk another of Herodotus' somewhat fanciful claim that 100,000 people built Khufu's pyramid. In fact, the village seemed to have had a maximum capacity of 20,000 people, of whom perhaps half were dedicated to construction at any one time. The daunting challenge of building such a structure and efficiently marshalling thousands of workers required meticulous planning. Scribes set about calculating the number of blocks that would be required to build a pyramid with the selected gradients. In the case of Khufu, the angle of the sides with the ground is 52 degrees. The kind of mathematical problem recorded in Egyptian mathematical papyri and at which Egyptian civil servants excelled. Graffiti and inscriptions at the site have also enabled scholars to piece together telling facts about life on this colossal construction site. Blocks found with dates from all seasons in the Egyptian calendar suggest the pyramids were built year-round and not just when the Nile was in flood. There are many types of pyramids and not all were built in the same way. The lowest stones in Egypt's first ever pyramid, Djoser's Step Pyramid in Saqqara, built a century before Khufu's pyramid, are bricks. But as construction progressed and engineers became more confident, they used larger blocks. The largest at Giza, weighing 3 tons, were those used to build Khafre's pyramids. Much of the stonework in the Giza pyramid came from a quarry barely half a mile to the south of the Great Pyramid of Khufu. The white limestone that once formed the outer casing had a longer journey to Giza, moved by boats along the Nile from Tura, 8 miles away. When he was working in Karnak in the 1930s, the scholar Henry Chever discovered that a 5-ton block can be dragged horizontally along a wet clay track by just 6 men. As pictures found in tombs have shown, blocks of that size were also sometimes pulled by oxen. The rams by which they were raised onto the pyramid structure have also been depicted on the decoration of some tombs, and there is archaeological evidence for such rams at Giza itself. The geometry of the pyramid helped to overcome the logistical problem of raising massive stones. As much as 40% of a pyramid's volume is concentrated in its bottom third. The raising of the stone blocks by means of a ram beyond the lower third of the structure was, however, a major challenge, and it is still not fully known how the Egyptians solved this problem. One solution would have been to use the building's inner step structure, visible today, since the outer casing stone have long disappeared, because then the block would only have had to be raised a little at a time, in the same way a heavy object can be eased up a staircase. The rows making up Khufu's pyramid are slightly more than 2 feet high on average, so it is highly likely that given sufficient manpower, levers could be used to raise large blocks into position, and so on, until the construction reached completion in the form of the pinnacle known as the pyramidion, which historians believe was put in place in the course of a solemn ceremony. The pyramidion atop Khufu was long been toppled, but is thought to have been of white Tura stone. It carved a total of 2.5 million stone blocks, making it one of the most massive buildings on the planet, the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world that is still standing to this day.